Right now, over 3 million brand new vehicles are sitting on dealer lots across America. That is roughly $150 billion worth of cars and SUVs just gathering dust. And according to new data from IC Cars, some models have over 82% of their entire inventory still unsold from last year. These are not used cars or trade-ins. These are factory-fresh SUVs with 0 miles that nobody wants. So what actually happens when a brand new $65,000 SUV sits for 500, 600, even 800 days without a buyer? The answer is darker than you would expect. Today I am breaking down the 7 stages of what dealers do with SUVs that will not sell, from desperate discounts to financial disasters. And wait until you hear about number 4. That is where things get really ugly. Stage 7. The 90-day clock starts ticking. Here is something most people do not realize. Car dealerships do not actually own the vehicles on their lots, not in the traditional sense. They use something called floor plan financing. It is basically a massive revolving line of credit from banks or from the manufacturer. The dealer borrows money to buy each vehicle, and the lender holds the title until that car sells. For the first 60 to 90 days, interest rates are usually low or even 0. Sounds great, right? Here is the problem. The moment that grace period ends, the interest starts compounding. We are talking rates that can absolutely crush a dealership's margins. According to NADA, a 1% increase in floor plan rates can cost major dealer groups millions of dollars annually. Floor plan spending for public dealer groups jumped from $126 million in 2021 to over $363 million less than 2 years later. That is not a typo. Interest costs nearly tripled. So when an SUV arrives at the dealership, the clock is already ticking. The goal is simple: sell it within 90 days or start bleeding money. Every single day that an SUV sits unsold, it is costing the dealer real cash. And that is just the beginning of their problems. Stage 6, the desperate discount phase. When that 90-day window comes and goes with no buyer in sight, dealerships start getting creative. The first strategy is the most obvious: slash the price. Managers will roll out discounts, rebates, promotional financing, and cashback offers to make the vehicle more attractive. We are talking $5,000, $10,000, sometimes $15,000 or more off the sticker price. Sounds like a win for buyers, right? Sure. But here is what is happening behind the scenes. According to CarEdge, if you are looking at a leftover 2024 model in late 2025, you should be negotiating at least 15 to 20% off MSRP just to offset the immediate depreciation hit you will take. That means on a $65,000 SUV, you should be walking away with at least $10,000 to $13,000 in savings. Anything less, and you are basically subsidizing the dealer's bad inventory decisions. Right now, there are 85,000 brand new 2024 models still sitting unsold as we approach the end of 2025. That is up from 50,000 leftover 2023 models at the same time last year. Even more shocking, 8,000 new 2023 models are still unsold as of late 2025. These vehicles are technically 2 years old in the eyes of buyers, yet dealers are still trying to move them as new inventory. Stage 5, the loaner and demo conversion. When discounts are not enough, dealers pull out their next trick. They convert a slow-selling SUV into a service loaner or demo vehicle. Customers who bring their cars in for repairs get loaner vehicles for temporary transportation. That brand new SUV nobody wanted is a perfect candidate. Dealership management also uses these vehicles as demos. Sales staff drive them for personal transportation. Potential customers take them on extended test drives, and the miles slowly accumulate. Two reasons. First, manufacturers will actually pay dealers a monthly reimbursement for putting vehicles into service loaner programs. That helps offset some of the floor plan interest bleeding out every month. Second, once the vehicle has a few thousand miles on it, the dealer can reclassify it as a nearly new used vehicle. The moment it gets that used car designation, they can justify a bigger discount without looking desperate. But here is where it gets sketchy. Some unscrupulous dealers will not clearly disclose that a vehicle was used as a demo or loaner. They might list it as new or certified pre-owned without mentioning the previous use. Always check the vehicle history and ask direct questions. That brand new SUV with 4,000 miles on it was not being driven by careful dealer employees. One dealership insider on TikTok showed footage of a brand new Ford Bronco Sport Heritage Edition that a customer absolutely destroyed while using it as a loaner. Cigarette burns, stains, damage everywhere. That vehicle is now someone's new SUV at a discounted price. You just will not know its full history unless you dig. Stage 4. The dealer trade shuffle. If discounts and loaner programs do not work, dealers start playing musical chairs with their inventory. They call it a dealer trade. The concept is simple. A four-wheel drive SUV that is gathering dust in Miami might be a hot commodity in Denver. A convertible that will not sell in Minnesota could fly off the lot in Southern California. Dealers within the same brand network trade slow-moving inventory with each other, hoping a different market will solve their problem. Automakers encourage this practice because it balances supply and demand across different regions. But here is what they do not tell you. Every time that SUV gets shuffled to another dealer, it is adding transport costs, handling fees, and additional wear. That vehicle might have been loaded onto a truck 3 different times before it finally lands in front of a buyer. The mileage might still show 47 miles, but that odometer does not capture the loading, unloading, parking lot shuffling, and general handling that happens during dealer trades. And if the SUV still will not sell after being traded, that is when things start getting really expensive. Before we get to the next 3 stages, do me a favor. If you are getting value from this, hit that like button. It genuinely helps the channel. Stage 3. The auction nightmare. When all else fails, dealerships turn to the auction block, and this is where the real financial pain begins. There are 2 types of auto auctions. Closed auctions are restricted to licensed dealers only. Open auctions allow anyone to participate, including used car lot owners, rental companies, and resellers. Here is the brutal truth about auctions. The moment a brand new vehicle crosses that auction block, it is immediately reclassified as pre-owned, regardless of its mileage or condition. A 2024 SUV with 12 miles on the odometer that has never been titled or registered becomes a used car the second the gavel falls. That classification destroys value instantly. But it gets worse. Auctions involve listing fees, transport costs, and auctioneer commissions. The dealer is already taking a massive loss on the vehicle before anyone even starts bidding. And because auction buyers are there specifically to find bargains they can flip for profit, the bids come in low, really low. According to data from industry analysts, vehicles sold at auction rarely generate a profit for the original dealer. They typically sell closer to rough trade-in value, which can be 30 to 40% below retail. That $65,000 SUV the dealer could not sell might fetch $38,000 at auction. After fees and transport, the dealer is looking at a loss of $20,000 or more on a single vehicle. Multiply that across dozens of slow-moving units, and you are talking about dealerships hemorrhaging hundreds of thousands of dollars just to clear their lots. Stage 2. The fleet sale dump. Before resorting to auctions, some manufacturers and dealers have another option: fleet sales. Rental car companies like Enterprise, Hertz, and Avis are always looking for inventory at discounted prices. Automakers often sell their slow-moving vehicles directly to these fleet operators at wholesale rates far below the manufacturer's suggested retail price. This gets the inventory off their books quickly while maintaining at least some revenue. But there is a massive downside. When those rental vehicles get cycled out of fleet service a year or two later, they flood the used car market in huge numbers. That floods the market, and it crushes resale values for private owners who bought the same model at full price. If you bought a 2024 SUV at the manufacturer's suggested retail price, and 6 months later, thousands of identical fleet vehicles hit the used market at 40% less, your vehicle trade-in value just cratered. This is exactly what happened with certain electric vehicle models. Hertz bought up tens of thousands of electric vehicles for their rental fleet, then panicked when resale values tanked. They started dumping thousands of barely used electric vehicles onto the market at fire sale prices. The result was that everyone who bought those same models at retail watched their investment evaporate. Fleet sales are not a solution to unsold inventory. They are just a way to spread the financial pain across future buyers. Stage 1. The graveyard. Here is the darkest stage that manufacturers do not want you to know about. When vehicles truly cannot find buyers through any normal channel, they end up in storage lots. We are talking massive outdoor facilities, sometimes built on abandoned airfields or industrial parks, designed to hold hundreds or even thousands of vehicles indefinitely. These are effectively car cemeteries. The vehicles sit exposed to the elements, slowly deteriorating. Tires develop flat spots from months of sitting stationary. Batteries drain and die. Seals dry out. Rust begins creeping into components. Cars are designed to be driven, not parked for years. A brand new SUV that sits for 700 or 800 days develops problems that would not exist if it had been purchased and driven normally. One dealership insider reported seeing 2023 models still sitting on lots well into 2025, with plastic wrap still covering some of them. These are vehicles that technically have never been owned, yet they have aged 2 full model years. What eventually happens to these vehicles? Some get shipped to overseas markets where demand is different and regulations are more relaxed. Others get dismantled and destroyed, written off as the cost of doing business. In extreme cases, manufacturers offer buyback programs to help dealers recover costs on particularly toxic inventory. The vehicles get absorbed into corporate fleets, employee programs, or simply taken off the market entirely. The shocking scale of the problem. Right now, certain models have absolutely catastrophic inventory situations. According to iSeeCar's data, the Dodge Hornet plug-in hybrid has 82.1% of its entire 2024 inventory still unsold. That is not a typo. More than 8 out of every 10 Hornets built for 2024 are still sitting at dealerships. The Jeep Grand Cherokee has 70.8% of 2024 models still waiting for buyers at an average price of $64,014. The Alfa Romeo Tonale Hybrid is sitting at 46.8% remaining inventory. Stellantis products dominate the unsold inventory list so badly that 12 of the 23 models with the highest leftover rates come from their brands. Even luxury vehicles are not immune. The Jeep Grand Wagoneer L, with an average price of $92,497, has 24.1% of 2024 inventory still unsold. That is nearly a quarter of all $90,000 plus SUVs they built last year, just sitting there. For comparison, the industry average for remaining 2024 inventory is just 0.4%. These problem vehicles have 100 to 200 times more unsold stock than normal. Every single one of those vehicles is costing dealers money every day. Floor plan interest, insurance, lot maintenance, and depreciation are all eating into margins that were already razor thin. The bottom line: here's what you need to understand. The automotive industry is built on the assumption that everything sells eventually. Manufacturers keep building, dealers keep ordering, and floor plan lenders keep financing. But when consumer demand shifts, when prices get too high, when reliability problems destroy buyer confidence, the whole system starts breaking down. Those 3 million unsold vehicles on American lots represent a massive financial burden that dealers cannot sustain forever. Prices are near record highs. Interest rates have squeezed both dealer financing and consumer loans, and certain brands have absolutely cratered in consumer trust. The result is a growing mountain of vehicles that nobody wants at any price. For savvy buyers, this creates opportunity. If you are flexible about model year and willing to negotiate aggressively, you can find deals that would have been impossible just a few years ago. But for dealerships and manufacturers, the reckoning is coming. You can only shuffle, discount, loan, and auction your way out of bad inventory for so long before the losses become catastrophic. That's all for today. If you found this valuable, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification icon. We're covering the biggest stories in the automotive industry, stories that dealerships do not want you to know. See you in the next one.